Okay, hey guys, Matt here and Sam. So we've got this very short little training for you today, and this is designed to give you guys a little more clarity, a little more air around the science of behaviour, and more so emotional and reactive behaviour. So I'm going to pass it over to Sam first up, and he's going to take it away on this first slide.
So, firstly, we've got a little bit of a recap from the last training about basically the brain being like an emergency alarm system. As you can see there, we've got an alarm clock, and for everything that the brain does, there is an indicator and a detector. So, it will detect when we feel unsafe. The brain is always asking, am I safe? Am I safe? Am I safe? It's looking around via the senses, so things we see, smell, taste, touch, and it's looking around our environment and seeing for potential threats where we aren't safe. And if it feels unsafe, it gets tripped and we come out of that human brain. This is what we went into the last training, so we're not going to spend too much time on that today. We're just going to give you a little quick example of sort of this here. You can see a glass of water. Can you imagine if you went up to that glass of water now and it didn't look like this delicious, beautiful glass? It was a little bit murky, a little bit cloudy. So our senses would start to notice things. Let's take an example for that. The first sense is sight. It didn't look right, so you then might put it to your, you then might put it to your nose and smell it. And if it didn't smell right either, that would start to trip our brain, because our brain, as we mentioned before, is a pattern recognition machine. We work off patterns. It is always looking to have prediction over the patterns that we know and then create an appropriate response. So if we start to see things that aren't regular, it trips. So for example, things that aren't regular in our life could be anything to do with our family, to do with our relationships, to do with work. And if we don't have an appropriate prediction, we cannot create an appropriate response, and the brain will be tripped and threat will occur. And you know enough about that by now.
Yeah.
Agree with all that, Matt?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's really useful for guys to know, just in terms of those smells and those like visually as well. So a lot of people aren't aware that when you see something that's kind of like, maybe it's pizza or something like really kind of naughty food, your body, your brain, obviously, visually you'll sense that, and you're actually salivating straight away, and actually your blood sugar levels will actually change and drop before you've actually started eating your food. So you've heard us talk about environments before. Well, one of the important reasons why you need to really work on environments is because if your blood sugar levels drop, okay, just by looking at food or knowing that it exists in your house, okay, you're going to be far more likely to crave higher sugar foods before you've even eaten them. So it's a huge thing to understand about the brain. And so this next point is
we've got something called the amygdala. We've got something called the amygdala and the hypothalamus. Basically, just trying to get a little bit sciencey on you here. We're not going to go in. You don't need to know any more than that we have these two brain centers which are responsible for tripping. So the hypothalamus is always looking for what we call homeostasis. So if something is out of balance within the body, the hypothalamus will pick that up and trip our brain. And that's when we then go into, again, this emotional and reactivity. Also, similarly, we've got the amygdala, which is really responsible for emotions. So when we get emotional, it is our amygdala that's been tripped. So if we can start to understand this more with what we're giving you around these trainings, we're not going into the deep science of how we can get out of this yet. We're just giving you an awareness so you can start to understand and have more clarity about what is going on in your brain. And as Matt's going to explain now, you're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. It is completely natural what is happening. The brain is designed in this way. It's designed to perceive threats and create safety. There's no one here. We all experience emotion. We all experience reactivity. We need to have a little bit of compassion on ourselves because there is nothing wrong. We are completely natural. Doesn't mean what we're doing within Mastering You is creating a different future for ourselves, so you don't always have to be at its mercy. That is what we're talking about today.
Yeah, so just this last slide kind of sums it up. Don't believe everything you think. And like Sam's already kind of mapped out, really, that this is the common thing that we as coaches sort of hear all the time. Our clients say that they are almost a reflection on their actions, which is completely untrue. Your brain is just reacting completely naturally. Its number one mechanism is always survival, and that doesn't necessarily be a good thing always for us, because how your brain will react in terms of threat and trying to survive doesn't always align with our goals. But just so you know, that is completely natural. Your brain is reacting naturally to your environments, and this comes back to environments again, environments, experiences. So what we can do is the things that we've already kind of covered. So create air around our goals, and there's tons and tons of things that we can actually do, and that's part of being part of this group. Really, Mastering You is, rest of this year, we're going to be sharing lots and lots of different ways that you can change that. So that the things that are going on in your head, those thoughts become actions, and in a good way.
So yeah, one last bit before we go. The big story and the big takeaway of this is you're not broken. It's all natural, and don't believe everything you think. That is your brain working exactly as it should be to create safety for you. But the downside is sometimes that we can, rightly or wrongly, create patterns which we think are safe, which has a complete opposite to what we want to do, to complete opposite to our goals and dreams that we want to achieve. So one really successful story around starting to gain influence over who you want to be and take back prediction response of who you are is really getting to know yourself and looking inward at your beliefs and your values and your environments. And that's all that cool stuff that we've got coming up for you. So we're really excited to see you on the next one, and have a great day.
Stay tuned, guys.